and start my recording here. So the first page that we're at is, this is the Natural Insight sign-in page. So Natural Insight is available either through your web browser, so if you have a PC, an Apple computer, a smartphone, or a tablet, you can use any of your devices and open up your web browser on those devices. You can go to my.naturalinsight.com, and that will bring you to your login page where you can get signed into your Natural Insight account. If you have an Apple device or an Android device, Natural Insight does offer an app that's available through either the App Store or the Google Play Store. That app is called NI WorkTrack, and everything that you're going to see me go through today on my PC, the views that you would get through the application or through your tablet or your smartphone on your browser will be very similar. There's very little that's slightly different. So what you'll see today is applicable to both the browser functionality and also the application functionality. So while we're on the home screen here, I'm going to go ahead and touch on a couple things. So first, at the top right, you'll see a little flag here. If we go ahead and click down on that drop-down box, that's going to show us the different languages that Natural Insight's available in. Now, it should automatically default to your preferred language, but if for some reason it does not, you can go ahead and click on that little drop-down icon next to the flag, and you can choose your language of choice. So you'll see a couple of the main ones here. So if you prefer to speak French, great, Portuguese, and they also have the system in German. The other thing that I want to point out on the sign-in page is underneath the green sign-in button, there's a forgot password button. So if you do forget your password, you can come down here and you can click on the forgot password button, and that's going to bring up a box that you can enter in your current username. And then once you enter in your current username, you can click the reset password. What this is going to do, this is going to send an email over to M30, and they'll be able to respond to you with your updated login information so you can get logged into the system. However, you'll also be able to contact either your supervisor or someone over at M30, and they can just reset your login information for you, but this box is also available from the home page. So those are the only two things that I wanted to point out on the sign-in screen. The next are the two main functions that you're going to be using the most. So here, you'll enter in your username that you'll receive, and then underneath that, you'll enter in your password that you'll receive. Once you enter in your username and your password, you can go ahead and click the sign-in button. Now, most of the time that you click that sign-in button, you're going to land here at your home screen, which we're going to talk about a lot more in a moment. However, the first time that you log into the system, you will see an intermediate screen between the login screen and your home screen. This is Natural Insight's Terms and Conditions page, where you can read through their Terms and Conditions page, and you do need to accept their terms and conditions in order to access your Natural Insight homepage. However, that is only on the first time that you log into the system. You will not see that page again after you acknowledge it for the first time, and then you'll always land here at your home page, which is where we'll spend the majority of our time today. So we'll go ahead and start at the top of our screen. So first up is the home button. So anytime you click on the home button, this will bring you back to your home screen here. So anywhere you go into the system, you can always get back to your home screen by clicking on the home button. Next to your home button is your resources button. You can think of this as a library. If we go ahead and access this section, you'll see a couple of categories here. We can expand all of the categories to see the content that has been added underneath each section. So the main section I would say that you would probably want to look at is the training materials section. This has some great information about saving bookmarks to your home screen if you're going to use the offline functionality, information about fixtures, a Natural Insight comprehensive training guide. So this is a nice little guide that has a table of contents that you can jump to different sections to learn more about different features within the system. Underneath that, you have a link to the Natural Insight comprehensive training video. So this is a 15-minute video that will tell you everything that you need to know about Natural Insight. So if between now and the time that you start doing work within the system, you forget anything or you want a refresher, you can come into the training materials section and you can launch this video and watch the video to get back up to speed on anything that you forgot about. And then underneath that, we also have a PDF, which is basically a playlist for that training video. So it'll have a couple of links to different sections within the training video. So if you did want to skip to a specific section, you can open up this document and click on any of those links that you need to. And we'll actually touch on this document a little further at the end of our training. So back up at the top of our page here, next to the resources button is your profile button. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look at this. This will just show you some basic information about yourself that's stored in the system. Basically going to be your first name and your last name. Any of your address information is not being stored in the system, neither is your email. So very unexciting here, but you can actually upload a photo if you like to personalize your page a little bit. To do that, underneath the Edit Profile button, you do have an Update Profile Information button here, where you can update some of your basic information and add a photo of yourself if you like. If we go ahead and cancel out of that, you also do have the option to update your password or update your username. So you will be sent a username and password that you can use to log in. You can keep that username and password if you'd like for the time that you're logging into Natural Insight for Blackhawk. Or you can come in here and change it to something that you might remember a little bit better. The last piece that we'll touch on at the top of our screen is the Help button. So this will take you to a Natural Insight support page, which again has some more detailed help documents. So if you run into any issues or looking for further information about the system, you can come here and see a number of documents that Natural Insight has posted here that you can access if you like. So we'll go ahead and jump back to the home page by clicking the Home button. And we'll go ahead and touch on a couple more things. So the top pod that you'll see here is your profile pod. So we have our little picture that we uploaded. Next to that, we have our visit calendar. We'll go into this in a little more detail in a couple minutes. And then next to that, we have our past due visits icon. And we'll talk about this in a moment too. Underneath our profile section is our messages pod. So within your messages pod, you may periodically receive communication from Blackhawk or from M30. Here, the first time that you log in, you'll have some content that I posted. So one is a video that takes you through the Surveys to Go function. So Surveys to Go allows you to fill out your surveys without an internet connection. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit more in a couple minutes. And then underneath that, we have a Welcome to Natural Insight link here. And if we go ahead and click on that, that's going to pop up a video here. And this is that same 15-minute video that I was referencing in the Resource Center. So you can click on that link and you can actually watch the video right from the page right here. So again, if you want a refresher and you want to get back up to speed before you start doing work in the system, you can come launch this video either from the resource section or from this page and get back up to speed on everything that you can do within Natural Insight. So underneath our Messages Center is our Visits pod. So you can see some basic color coding to the left of each of our visits here. So the majority of our visits are scheduled for today, but we do have 2 that were scheduled for Monday. Any visits that are scheduled in the past and have not been rescheduled to a future date, or the survey has not been completed within the system, will show up as a past due. So anytime that you see red next to a visit, you either want to reschedule this visit for a future date and time, or complete the survey for that visit to get it completed within the system. So any corresponding visits that are past due will also show up here in the Past Due Visits pod. So on my home screen, I can see past due visits that I have for this week, so 2 past due visits. And then looking at this number up here, I have 4 total past due visits. So I also have visits that are past due from previous weeks. If I want to view those past due visits, I can go ahead and click on the orange Past Due button. That's going to show me my recent past due visits here that are also showing up on my home page, but then I can also search for a broader date range to find my older past due visits that I need to also get completed in the system. So again, anytime you see the orange past due button up here or any red stoplights down in the page here, you do want to take an action on these visits by either rescheduling them or completing the survey within the system. So the visits that we're going to focus on today are the actual visits that are scheduled for today. So we have multiple visits that we have scheduled, and you'll see when they're scheduled for. So all of your visits that you're going to need to complete within a specific period are going to show up on your schedule for the first day of that period with a scheduled time of midnight of that first day. And it'll be part of your duties to come in and move those visits to the dates and times that you think that you will visit that store. If you don't reschedule and move the visits, they will show up as past due, and then you can reference them from the past due page, or you can reference them from the past due section here. But we do always recommend that you reschedule your visits to a future date and time that you think you will be completing the assignment. If for some reason you're unable to make it on that day that you scheduled it for, you can always reschedule it again to the new date and time that you think you're going to make it to the store. So we're going to go ahead, and the first thing that we're going to do is reschedule some of our visits here. So there's two ways to reschedule. So first way that we're going to walk through is from the home page. So all you need to do is simply click on the store name, and that's going to bring up your visit information pop-up box here. At the bottom left, you have this actions box. You can click on that, and then you can click the reschedule button. That's going to bring you to the reschedule visit page where you can see all of the details about this visit. So I can see that this is a part of the Sobeys West project. I can see the detailed store information of where this store is located. And then most importantly down here is I can see my date range. So when does this visit have to be done between? So here's my date range, anytime between the 16th and the 2nd for this specific visit. So I can reschedule my visit for any day within that range. If you try to reschedule it outside of that date range, the system will give you an error message and tell you that you do have to schedule it for a date and time that meets the criteria in the date range section here. So we'll come back up to the top here, and I'm going to go ahead and see 9-2. So I'm going to go ahead and push this visit out, and we'll push it out to the 30th, and we'll go ahead and reschedule it for, say, 2 p.m., and then we'll go ahead and click the submit button, and that's going to go ahead and move that visit from a visit that's scheduled for today to a visit that's scheduled on August 30th, and we can go ahead and click the show button to see that visit and where it's been moved to. Right? So again, from the home page, you simply click on the location name, click the actions box, and then click the reschedule button, and then choose your new date and time. So that's the first way that you can reschedule a visit within the system. The second way that you can reschedule a visit is coming back up to the top here. You have your visit calendar that we touched on earlier. So we'll go ahead and access our visit calendar, and this is going to default to show us all of our visits for the current month. We can go back to previous months, or we can go forward to future months if we want to. However, we'll go ahead and stay on this month. And then down here on today, I can go ahead and see a couple of my visits that are currently scheduled. And the first way that you can do it from the calendar is just like you did it from the home page, where you can click on the visit, click the reschedule button from the actions pop-up box. However, you can also do drag and drop from this page. So we can actually click down on a visit, hold your mouse down, and then go ahead and drag it to a new day. Once you choose the day that you want to schedule it for, go ahead and unrelease your mouse. That's going to drop it on the date that you chose, and then all you need to do is just go ahead and choose the new time, and then click the submit button. And that's going to go ahead and reschedule your visit to that new day and time. So the calendar is always going to default you to the month view. However, you do have other views that you can click to, like a year view, a week view, or a daily view. So I'll actually come down into the week view here, and we'll go ahead and get to our current week. So here we have some of our upcoming visits, and if we scroll to the top here, we have all of our visits that are scheduled for midnight. We can hover over them to see a little more information. And now if you're in the weekly or daily view, you can drag and drop not only to a new day within that week, but also to a new time. So again, I'm going to click down, hold the visit, I'm going to drag it to my new day, and then also drag it to my new time. So we'll say we're going to do this one early here. We'll go ahead and drop it. And now that's going to populate our date and populate our time. And then all we have to do is confirm that it's correct by clicking the Submit button. And it's just letting us know here that we do have other visits that are scheduled on that same day. And it's just giving us an overview of our scheduled day. So this visit we're going to schedule for 6 a.m. And then we also have our visit that we already rescheduled for 2 p.m. And then we'll just go ahead and click the Reschedule button to confirm. So coming down here, we can now see that we've moved a couple of our visits, and we can continue doing this process for all of our other visits that we need to reschedule for that period. One other thing that I'll touch on this page is up at the top right here, you have 3 dots. If you go ahead and click on that, the main option that I'll point out here is Export. So if you do want to export your calendar, you can export it into a PDF, and then you can print it out, bring it with you, leave it in your car, so you know what visits you have on your schedule for which days, and it gives you all of the detail for each of your visits, the store location, what project it's associated to. So something that you can export, leave in your car if you like, or you can just always reference your calendar from the system. So we'll go ahead and jump back to the home page here. And one thing that I didn't mention, that I do want to mention, is that everything that you've seen me do and everything that you're going to see me do is 100% available from your mobile device or your tablet. So you can access your calendar, you can reschedule your visits, you can complete your surveys. So again, everything that you're seeing me do on my PC, you can do from your mobile device or tablet while you're out in the field. Okay? Or from your company provision laptops, which is also great. So now that we have a couple of our visits rescheduled, we're going to go ahead and focus on kind of our day in the life of. So we're ready to go out, we're ready to start completing our visits, and how do we get all of our information, how do we fill out our survey and all of that. So we'll go ahead and focus on this visit that we have here for this thrifty store. So we're going to go ahead and click on that, and again, that's going to give us our visit information pop-up box. And a couple things that we'll see here. First, we have our info tab, which is going to give us the basic information about the store, mainly the address here and just some basic information about the store itself. A couple other tabs that you'll have access to. So one is a map tab. This one you can see here, it shows where the rep lives. So this is my sample rep in Toronto, and then the store over here. So since we're not storing your address information in the system, you'll probably skip over the map tab as it won't really be able to give you much information, but it is going to be there, so it is something that I wanted to point out for you. Most importantly, though, is going to be your materials tab. So this is where all of your planograms, all of your visit instructions, all of that detail is going to show up in this materials page. So here I have a couple of materials that I have access to. So we have access to 2 zip files, so this Thrifty all planogram zip file, the Sobeys all planogram zip file. And then underneath those, we have our location-specific planogram. So basically there's a relationship between the documents that you're going to see and the fixtures that should be traded in your store. So for this store that we're going to be doing work at, this should just have a super tower, and we'll be able to see that when we actually access the survey. But if for some reason it had a fixture that wasn't provided here in the planogram, you do have access to all of the other planograms, and you can find the specific one that you're looking for. Also at the bottom of the page is a worksheet. So if for some reason your laptop was dead or you didn't have a mobile device or a tablet and you needed to print out a version of the survey and bring it with you, you can click on the View Worksheet down here, and that's going to go ahead and bring up a PDF. I did not publish this one, but basically this would have all of your questions that you're going to see within the survey. So you could fill this out by pen while you're doing your work in the store, and then when you get back home at the end of the day, you have this as a reference for when you're filling out all of your online questions. So once you generate the PDF, you can just print it out by clicking the little print button at the top right there. So coming back into the visit information pop-up box, the last thing that I wanted to point out here, and I'll also point this out in the survey, is this little gray box here on the Info tab. So this is a feature in Natural Insight called Store Notes and Contacts. So basically allows you to store information about relationships that you're building at the store. Total optional feature if you want to use it, but you can come in here and add in general notes about the store, or you can come in and add contacts in that you're meeting at the store. So if you wanted to come in and add a new contact, you can click on the little blue plus sign at the top right, and this is going to give you a Create Contact form. Here I can go ahead and put in a name, and this is the manager. And if I have his phone number or his email address or any general comments that I know about Joe, maybe he loves baseball. So just a way that you can store relationship information that you're gathering at the at your stores during your visits. And great thing about this is anytime you go into the store, this information is going to be available for you to reference, so you can come in and find Joe in the back room and start talking to him about baseball. So I am not going to save this contact because I don't want anybody thinking Joe actually works at this store, but if you did want to save the contact, you just click the Save button. I'll just go ahead and click Cancel to get out of that box. So now that we have all of our information, we know where we need to go, we saw our materials, maybe we printed them out if we wanted to, we can go ahead and now drive over to the store. And then first thing that we're going to do when we get to the store is we're going to check in for our visit. So you have this little stopwatch icon here. You can go ahead and click on that, and that's going to give you two options here. The main one that you just need to focus on is the check-in. So this is just going to verify that you're at the correct store. We don't want anybody showing up at the wrong store. So if you're out of area, so as you saw, my rep was actually, or I am not actually at the Thrifty store. So it's saying that I'm not at the correct location, and it's showing up yellow. If I was actually at the Thrifty store, it would show up blue and just say check-in. In either scenario, just go ahead and click the check-in button, just letting us know that you're at the store and you're starting your work. So now that I'm checked in for my assignment, to the right of that is our survey. So this little white piece of paper with the pen, this is how we access our online survey. So we can go ahead and access it by clicking on it, and that's going to bring us to the first page of our survey. So this is where you're going to gather all of the data that you're capturing on behalf of Blackhawk. So at the top here, you have a couple icons. So first up is your information icon. So this is going to show you the information for that visit, just like you saw from the home page. And then it's also going to show you the materials section and any location-specific planograms that you have access to for this visit. Next to that is your checkout icon. So this is something that we'll touch on at the end of our visit. And then next to that is your store notes and contacts. So just as we were able to add store notes and contacts from the home page, it's also something that you can do from within your survey. So underneath our header section here is our first question. So did you conduct a visit? We'll go ahead and click on this, and that's going to bring us to our first question answer set. So did you conduct a visit, yes or no? We'll go ahead and say yes. And when we say yes, we have a next button that becomes active at the bottom right side of the screen here. One thing I'll mention too, if you are using this function, or if you are using this on a smartphone or tablet, the survey does have swipe capability. So since I'm on my PC, I'm going to click next to go to the next question. However, if you were on a tablet, you can swipe from right to left to go to the next question. And then if you did want to go back to your previous question in the survey, instead of clicking the back button, you can swipe from left to right to move back in the survey. So the second question that we come to, this is one of the unique questions that the system offers. It's called a grid question. This is where you're going to fill out all of your fixture information. So here we can see that this store has a super tower. This is also a great time where we can reference our planogram. So our super tower right here, we can open that up and make sure that everything looks good. So we see our super tower to the left here. If you see multiple items, that just means you have multiple fixtures in the store that you need to answer questions for. So here's our super tower, and then here are all of the questions over to the right that we need to answer. So to start answering questions about our super tower, we can go ahead and click on the first question. Is this fixture present in your store location? We'll go ahead and say yes. Is this fixture set to POG on entry? We'll go ahead and say yes on that. Is this fixture displayed on the sales floor? Say yes again. And then is this fixture set to POG on exit? We'll go ahead and choose one of our other answers down here. And then are the backer tags placed on each peg? We'll say missing some. And then the fixture location, we'll go ahead and choose our location within the store. And then is this fixture accessible on all sides? We'll go ahead and say yes. So now once we've answered all of our questions, we're going to be taken back to the grid homepage where we can see that we're fully answered for our super tower. If we did have any other fixtures, we'd have to go through each of those fixtures and answer those same questions. Over to the right here, we can see all of the questions that we just answered, and then also possibly some that we didn't answer. So if you do see a gray question over here, and you may see multiple of them, what that means is that based off of your previous answers that you provided, you weren't required to answer that question. So if you do see a bunch of gray options here that have that are crossed out, you don't need to worry about them. Based off your previous answers, those questions got kicked out of the survey, and you don't need to provide an answer for them and can just continue on in your survey. One other thing that I'll point out here is you have these 3 lines at the bottom of the page. If you do have multiple fixtures in your store, or you do want to hop around to other questions, you can click on that, and that'll show you all of the fixtures that you have, and you can hop around to different fixtures, or you can always come back to your question home, which you see here. So if I come back into one of my questions here, and I want to go back to my question home, I can just click on question home, and that's going to bring me back to the fixture home page here. So we'll go ahead and continue on our survey and just answer a couple more questions. Is there a fixture located in your store that's not above? We'll go ahead and say no. Here is a photo question. So this is asking us to capture a photo of the primary fixture on exit. If I'm on a smartphone or tablet, I simply click the Tap Me button, and then I am prompted to either take a live photo or upload a photo that I've already taken. If you are on a mobile device, we do always encourage you to upload live photos. If not, you can just choose a photo like you'll see me do here, which is going to be the majority of the time. So if I go ahead and click on the Tap Me circle here, and I'll come over to my pictures, and I'll go ahead and find my fixture photo. My fixture is going to show up here. Once it shows up, I have a couple options underneath it where if I accidentally took it sideways or upside down, I can easily rotate it so it's correctly oriented when I'm submitting it into the system. So these 2 are going to probably be the main ones that you use. If for some reason you need to invert it, you do have these options here where you can go ahead and make those changes relatively simply. If you accidentally uploaded the wrong photo, you can simply click on the Change Photo button and then just go back through the exact same process and just choose the correct photo. Right? Once you have your photo, we can go ahead and continue on our survey. Here's an optional photo question. So anytime you see an optional question within the system, You are not required to provide an answer for it. However, we do always encourage you to upload and answer all of the questions that are relevant to your specific store visit. But anytime you see an optional question, you can just skip over it to the next question. Also, one thing that I'll point out here is up at the top left, you have these two double arrows. If we click on those double arrows, that's actually going to take us back to the original page of your survey, and you can kind of think of this as a table of contents page. I can come back and see all the answers that I've already provided, and then based off of my future questions, I can also see some upcoming questions that I have the ability to answer. So I can see that I have a number of optional photos here, and then I also have a required photo here. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to my required photo, and then go ahead through the upload process again, add my photo, and then now I'm actually going to hop back to my table of contents page, and that's going to open up a couple more questions for me that I can fill out. So I'll go ahead and just skip over the other optional photo questions, and I'll come to my next relevant question here. So again, you'll see optional questions. You do not have to provide an answer for those in order to submit. You'll see required questions where you do have to provide an answer for them in order to move forward in the survey. And then you'll also see questions that say required to submit. So a required to submit question means that you can skip over it while you're navigating through your survey. However, you are required to provide an answer for it prior to being able to submit your survey into the system. So I'll actually come back to one of my required to submits. How many pegs are out of stock? We'll go ahead and say 5, and we'll come back here. How many pegs are on exit? This next question that we're going to come to, this is another one of our another one of the unique questions. This is what's called the lookup list here. So very important to Blackhawk's business, as you all know, is capturing out of stock and low stock information. So here we come to a question that asks us, are you entering out of stocks or low stocks today? We'll go ahead and say yes, and we'll click the next button. And then here we come to a page that basically has an open box with a little search icon to the right. And what you're going to do with this box is you're going to click into the box, and then you can start typing. And as you start typing, you're going to see all of the cards that are available to report on for this distribution partner. And then as you continue to type, you're going to see the list is going to narrow down to show you only the cards that match what you're typing in, and then we can see the cards that match what we're typing in, and then we can simply choose the card from the list. It's going to always default to have a 0 quantity associated to it, but if you do need to make a change to a low stock card, you can simply make the change that you need. So we'll actually go ahead and report this one as out of stock. And then we'll go ahead and start looking for our next card. So here's our Starbucks $25 Canadian, and we'll go ahead and add that in, and we'll say that one's just low stock. And then we'll go ahead and search for maybe another Starbucks, and we'll say this one is going to be our $50 one. So you can type in as much as you need, and it's going to go ahead and pare the list down to just the things that match what you're typing. So here's our $50, and then we'll go ahead and add that in as an out of stock also. If you accidentally add in a card and you need to remove it, you'll see a trash can to the right of each of your cards. You can just simply click on the trash can, and that'll remove the card from the list. So once you have all of your cards set, you can go ahead and continue on in your survey, just answering all of the questions that you need to. So we'll just quickly go through a couple of these yes-no questions here, a couple of numeric questions. These, just answering them the best we can. And here we come to an open text box question that asks you to list anything that Blackhawk or M30 needs to know. This, again, is an optional question, but this is just an open text box where you can type in whatever you need to. You'll see the total character count over to the right here. So just you can't go over 1,000 characters when you're entering in your description. So I'll go ahead and leave this one blank and continue on. Next unique question here is a manager signature. So since you're not using smartphones or tablets, you will need to take your mouse and go ahead and put in a signature there. Now, this is something that you can have the manager do, but something does need to be in this box in order for you to continue on in your survey. So we can just go ahead and put a scribble in there saying that the manager signed off on our completed survey. Last couple questions here, manager's name, who signed off, and then position of the store contact. And that should be our last question there. So one thing that we also don't have in here currently, but you may see when you roll out, is possibly a link to M30's website. So you'll notice that there was no place to capture timekeeping information in the survey. That will currently still be done in M30's website. So we'll probably actually put a link here that you can easily click on, and that'll bring you to the M30 homepage where you can go ahead and enter in your timekeeping information for this specific visit. Once everything looks good, I can go ahead and review all of my information, including my photos and all the details, all the answers that I'm about to submit. If everything looks good, I can come down here and I can click the Submit button. If anything was wrong, it would tell me something was wrong. Either I might have had a photo that wasn't finished uploading, or I missed a question, and it would return me back into the survey so I can go ahead and answer those questions I need to answer. However, you'll know that you're done and you've successfully submitted your survey when you come to the success page, and then you'll actually receive a confirmation number here letting you know that you successfully completed the survey. Once we're all set, we can go ahead and click on Close Survey. That's going to bring us back to the home page, and then we can go ahead and head to our next visit. Or if we have another visit that also needs, or another survey that needs to be completed at this store, we can go ahead and start filling out that survey if we need to. So once you complete data in the system, you have a completed data section here at the bottom. If I click the Show button, this is always going to show me data that's submitted into the system over the past 3 days, and I can review any completed data by clicking on the blue icon that you see here. If I ever want to go back further than 3 days, I have a More button, and I can go ahead and click on that, and that's going to bring me to a page where I can actually search for dates further in the past. Maybe I'm looking for it 6 months from now and I want to find a store that I visited when we just started rolling out. I could go ahead and open up my search criteria for a couple months. And then I can also search for a specific store. So if you know the address of the store that you're going to be going to, you can start typing that in, and then we'll actually show you here are the stores that match what you're typing into the system. And then if you do have any completed visits at those stores, you can execute your search by clicking Submit, and it would show you any completed visits that you had at that store or within that general date range that you searched for. And then again, to view any completed data that you have, simply click on the dark blue icon at the right. That'll bring you to your completed visit page where you can see all of the information that you submitted into the system. If you do see something that is incorrect, you will need to contact your supervisor or somebody over at M30 who can come in and make a change to that data for you. Okay. So jumping back to the home page here, so just a couple of last things that I did want to touch on. So one is the Surveys to Go button. So if you do find yourself in a situation or you know that you're not going to have an internet connection when you get to the store, I'm not sure how often that happens, but you do have the ability to download your surveys locally to your laptop and then fill them out without an internet connection and then submit them into the system once you're able to get reconnected to the internet. Now, I can't go through the entire process, otherwise I'd disconnect everybody from the WebEx. But in order to do your Surveys to Go, you do have to have a visit scheduled on the current day. So here I have 4 visits scheduled for today. You click on the Surveys to Go button up here. That's going to show you all of your visits you're about to download or all of your surveys you're about to download. If you don't want to download a specific survey or you just want to download one, you can uncheck any of the boxes to the left here, and that will not download those surveys. I'll go ahead and keep them all checked. Then you want to click on the Download Surveys Beta button over to the right here. That'll take a couple of seconds, and that's going to go ahead and download your surveys locally. And then once you get to this offline survey list page, you can now disconnect from the Internet. And then you can fill out your surveys by clicking on the little visit number here or clicking on the status, and that'll bring you into your survey, and you would fill out your survey exactly like you would if you were online. However, once you get to the end of the survey, you will not have a submit button and not be able to submit your survey until you get back connected to the Internet. So unfortunately, I can't disconnect right now, but if we go ahead and jump back to the home page here, two things that I've provided. So one is a link to the Surveys to Go video. So this you can click on, and again, watch right here. This does take you through the process on an iPad, but it is very similar. It's a very similar process on how you should be stepping through the offline survey functionality. There is also a video up here in the Resource Center. So coming back to our Resource Center here and coming back into our training materials, in our Natural Insight training video playlist, if I go ahead and open that up, that has all of the links to the different sections of the training video that you can easily access by clicking on the timestamp. And then you also have an other video resources section down here where you have some links to watch the Surveys to Go video. Downloading documents won't be very relevant because you're not using an iPad or a mobile device. So just mainly the Surveys to Go button down here might be of assistance to you. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back to the home page here. We have about 10 minutes left in our section. I've covered about everything that I think I needed to cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open everybody back up. So I'm going to take everybody off mute, and maybe we'll do a quick announcement before we open it up to QA for everybody. So let me go ahead and unmute everybody. Okay, so everybody has been unmuted, and I think we'll just do a quick announcement, then we can open it up for any questions.
Yeah, so thanks, Brian. You've done those before. Pretty sweet. So yeah, let's open this up for Q&A. I'm not sure, Adam, if you got any questions sent to you over the past, no? So we'll open it up now. If you could, just state your name first, so if two people are asked at the same time, we know who to go back to and ask if they still have a question to ask. So any questions, feel free to go ahead.
John, let me just jump in for 1 second here. Just on the device piece,